Hey guys, it's Kyle Clark here. Hey guys, Kyle Clark here, and welcome to episode 15 of Real Fighter. Our guest will join us shortly, and it will be a monumental one, to say the least, because this guy isn't a pro wrestler. Isn't just a pro wrestler. He is a fighter. He is a real fighter. Hence the name of this podcast episode. And here's the thing. He's still fighting to this day. And hence the name. He fought cancer 3 times, and he's continuing to fight to fight against cancer, the ones that he fought 3 times over. And he faced the likes of Andre the Giant, Scott Steiner, and Jeff Hardy, even the most known names. Not like John Cena or Randy Orton. He retired back in the 2010s, I guess. Is this going to be an emotional podcast? It depends. It depends how you take it. It's not going to be emotional, but it may be. But we're going to have to find out. Alright. Just trying to get my guest in this time so I can introduce him. Let's see. So how's everybody doing? I'm doing good. Hey Bina, Patrick Star, how's it going? If you want to ask this guy questions, like I said, I'd recommend it. According to my research, I think 50s? That's what a little fandom.com wiki said about him, but I'm not going to really assume, but I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say he's pretty not middle-aged, but I'm pretty up there. Not about 2.5 times older than me, but not going to compare ages anymore. I think I have some problem. He's having some problems here. All right. So just gonna be waiting. I'm trying to get my guest in at this time. I'm gonna have to get here. This might be taking a little bit. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to talk about him a little bit more. He's been wrestling. He wrestled early in the 80s. Not early in the 80s, like mid 80s to late 80s, and then retired in the late 2000s, mid 2000s, I guess. And he had a successful career, at least a quite successful career, because he was some type of was an enhancement talent, meaning he was just letting their opponents shine over them, basically doing the job, just putting on a show against the likes of, like I said, Andre the Giant and Scott Steiner and Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, maybe others like Paul Orndorff, older guys like Bobby Eaton. But, well, See. Oh. Um. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get him in here. Video meetings. From here. Uh. Um. Let's see. I'm trying to look here, trying to get the guest into the session. So stay with me. Um, okay. Mm, all right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's hope that the guest can be in here. Let's see if we can figure it out with my assistance the best I can. Um, Thank you guys for your patience. Um, just trying to get him to know Google Meet because I recommend it because it has less issues with connection. That's my opinion anyway. Uh, he hasn't used neither, so Zoom he didn't use before, and Google Meet he hasn't used before, so it's going to be a little bit hard for him. Uh, see. Um, uh, mm, is sure.
This laptop is like too tight.
Is there a code to put in? Oh, FC. Let's see. It was, uh, I think there is a code. Um, Leaking the code. Wait, is that actually his name? I don't want to. Is that actually his name? I do not want to. Okay, so Okay, so this is him. Introducing my guest at this time, a former WWE slash WCW champion, a, a former, not a champion, not I made that botch. Sorry about that. A 3-time cancer survivor, and ladies and gentlemen, from residing from his home in North Carolina, Chuck Coates.
Yeah, I apologize for the little bit of difficulty there. We got it figured out though.
Yeah, technology can be really hard to get by.
I downloaded the app and it's got my middle name is Edwards.
Yeah,
It's
I
Charles,
don't.
got me Charles Edward. I said, oh well, halfway right.
Yeah, I made a same mistake. I should have said superstar, not champion, because I was doing some research on you, and because you were champion in NWA and all those companies, but it was accidentally a little slip of the tongue. You know what I mean? Um, so 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 thank you for joining us, Mr. Coates.
You're welcome, man.
And how was the weather like there?
I'm in Raleigh, Durham. Right outside of 30 miles north of Raleigh, the capital here in North Carolina. It's 81 degrees right now. Got a storm's coming through. I think on Thursday. Coming to Florida now. So they said it would be probably be 100% chance of rain and 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. I think it's going to be downgraded to a tropical depression. But anyway, hot. Right now in the evenings it gets down to around 65 or 70. So it's coming.
Yeah, I've been getting it's been getting hot over here in Virginia. We've been it's like been scorching over here. Not like 90s though as much, but like 80s. So we're both in the direction of the path of the storm.
Right.
So being a superstar that kept standing a career from back in the mid 80s, you starting out and facing the likes of Andre the Giant, Haku, and the Steiners. That honestly must have been an honor to face the eighth wonder of the world. Well, even though you were like had this like I guess you were kind of like a jobber, just like put in what's an enhancement talents in at the time. But all those guys like Jerry Sags and all those people, what what was it like when you were put in the ring with those guys when you were even though you weren't came up on top in the match?
Yeah. Well, back then, I've got my first call to go. I went to school with Nelson Royal down in Morrisville, North Carolina. That's the same group that produced North South, Tommy Angel, David Isley, Gary Wolf. Some of the best. They're about 8 to 10 years older than me, so I watched those guys. Not to make them feel old, but I watched those guys when I was in college. And even though, like you said, back then we were called job guys with enhancement talent, whatever, there were so many that very well could have been that guy. And they were that good. So, we just knew as a whole, we knew what our job was. We knew when I got the call from Nelson to go up north, there was like 8, 10 of us from the Charlotte area. And we knew we're going up there and we're going to get beat, sometimes squashed. I mean, it is what it is. But still looking, though, hopefully there may be somebody will see something in us to give us a break, It's happened with Mark Merrow. The night he had his break, like I said, we became Johnny B. Good, Johnny B. Bad. And Riggins, he got a little push there for a while. Some of these guys who started out, but anyway, we got a chance to wrestle. First of all, I hear people, I'm 53 years old now. Sometimes over the course of time, people will say, well, you almost made it. Well, I did make it. I lived my dream. 20 years I was a pro wrestler. And manager, Stings and Lugers and Stein, those guys. And so, you're right there. You're right there. All it takes, somebody seeing something in you that they can make money with. They saw something, and they're telling what you might be. You might wear a hood, you might be a heel, you might be a baby face, you might be a tag partner, you might be used for a certain angle. They might have going on back then, but the good news is I was there. I got called up, and we knew that the opportunity was there. That we had to go out there and bump, sell, and make those guys look like $1 million because back then what made money was the house shows. TV was the big promotion part. The key was getting people to, they call it, fill those seats up with butts. And everybody was thinking, if we made them look good on TV, people would come see them at your the local. Back then it was Civic Center, high schools, Coliseum, armories even. It was so much. The territories were so much more personal because you had to drive to, like for instance, here in Virginia, you had to go to Richmond or Norfolk, and there's only a couple places the WWE comes. Back then we were able to go to places all throughout the Carolinas, all throughout the Southeast, and it was a fun time in my life. I really enjoyed it. And, looking back, I don't regret any of it. But you're right about getting in the ring with some of those guys. It was almost, to use the word surreal. It was almost like, did that really happen? Back then we didn't have cell phones, so we would find out who were wrestling. If I wanted to go make a phone call, I had to call you. Hey man, guess what? You're wrestling so and so. Back then it was maybe 3 weeks out. So you can set your VCR, making myself go up here. You can set your recorder and you can watch the show. Like I said, it's about 3 weeks. Back then it's about a 3-week gap. What was going on live on TV, if you've already done that a couple weeks ago, and then it'll finally come on and you can watch yourself or whatever. And pretty cool experience getting out there. And just being in the ring with Andre, it was, I knew he was getting, it was 1989, and he was starting to age. He was starting to get, his health was declining. So I knew they put him in the bag. Cool. So Andre could come in and do the finish. They all knew Andre wasn't doing well, and as he got older. So he had to be in a tag match. But he was still traction. He was still an attraction. They knew as long as they got him, they had him there, they could still, use him as being the 8th wonder of the world. Even to his last day, Andre was always strong. It didn't matter where he was, whether he was overseas, whether he was here. He was the hot ticket. Probably the greatest attraction in wrestling history. But being in the ring with that guy, even 37 years later, doesn't seem like he really happened, but he did. And the opportunities were amazing. I mean, we had the opportunity. We didn't have contracts, but we could go back and forth. I would wrestle NWA, WCW, Independence, whatever. I wasn't. Nobody had a contract, so we could go and come and complete. There was times we do WWF TV back then, WWF. We might do WCW the next week, if we could. But overall, it was a fun time.
So you pointed out that you just went to these independent promotions besides WWE and WCW. You mentioned that there weren't really any. You didn't really sign any. Was there any offerings of contracts with those companies that you traveled?
They never actually offered me a contract, but I had it was one of those, like the old saying goes, an agreement, handshake, not agreement, but if they needed you there, you'd be there. And you knew you didn't, or you had to go to break, you had to make the decision, you had to do it, you had to prioritize, that you knew that you could figure in with somebody else. So even though I wasn't signed for WCW, they were good to me. boss, and he kept us in, kept us going, he kept it busy. So I had a unofficial agreement with him, if you will. If he called last minute, I would be there. So that was my deal. The other guys could have had something. Most of us, enhancement guys, most of us were just almost on call. There's a house show and it's TV, whatever. And then hopefully the weekends we can do out. Thankfully, TV's for Monday and Tuesday. House shows can be anytime. But we were able to still do our independent characters, which, I compare it, I always told people, regular leagues is WWF, WCW back then. The AAA, AA as a baseball firm with independent. You were in there, hoping to get seen, you noticed, but there were scouts. I mean, they had people come out, and maybe somebody knew somebody. You just never knew who was watching, so you wanted to do your best. Whether it was 100 people or 500 people, you wanted to work, you bust your butt. I remember Sweet Hanson before he passed away, he was one of the guys to come around that convention, and he would come to the shows and watch. Small places like that, you never know. Like, call up somebody and they know somebody and say, man, this is kid, you check him out. We had to be on our top of our game back then. I was also privileged to don the hood of the Russian assassin. There was two originals of Jack Victory and Angel of Death, and I came along around 1990 and I was doing pretty good to get a call off. So I had a lot of promotions, independent promotions, including the Russian outfit when it was still drawing. And I did a lot of matches with like, I know he just, Dale just passed, we just did some stuff with the Patriots. And a good friend, Jack Bolton, as the Eagle. A lot of matches with Italian Stallion. He come out with the Italian flag and the U.S. flag, but it was always USA versus Russia. And that was fun because I could make it work. Put anybody in the hood, but you can't make it work. It's not believable. But I was able to pull that off. So I got a lot of work as a Russian. I was a versatile guy, I would do a lot of different things. Just do what you're asked, and keep on. My career lasted 20 years. Fun time, able to see the world. And most of from Virginia on down to Florida, I was southeast mainly. I didn't go out west very much, only a few times. And able to stay busy that way.
I see. So here's the main talking point. Is what shocked me the most when I was looking through, finding these wrestlers to interview. But this one caught my eye. You survived cancer not once, not twice, but 3 times, which honestly gave me like the title of a real fighter. Which you still kept on fighting, even if you fought cancer, you still fighting for the movement to end cancer that you were fighting. So if you have a message to people that have loved ones that kind of suffered from type of a disease not other than cancer, what message would you want to send to them to have like some type of motivation to move on?
Well, I'll tell you, to kind of wrestling not only was a huge part of my life, wrestling actually possibly saved my life because the reason they found I had lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is blood cancer. I was actually sick. In the state of Virginia, I got like, that, to wrestle, box, whatever. The commission makes you have license. We had to go get the physical. And I went and get it, wrestling. Gay license, that's that. And the doctor's like, okay, your physical checked out good, here's your paper. You might want to get a place in your neck. I'm kind of concerned about that. I had no symptoms, nothing. Well, I let it go for like 2 months. And finally, I thought, what are you talking about? I'm going to get that checked. So I've been got it checked out. And lo and behold, I had cancer, didn't even know it. So that's about 2006. that's when I decided to go for that. 38 years old, I decided to take up the boot because I had a bigger fight, bigger job. And even though my heart wanted to keep doing it well, that, working time for chemo and all that, takes a lot of it. So, got through that in February of 2007, and cancer free. And I went ahead and thought about my life. 2012, found some mass in my stomach, and cured up the bone marrow turn. And at this time, I had a bone marrow transplant in view, and more chemotherapy. 2013, cancer free. In 2016, just a little 5 years ago, third time, like you said, the former returned. So I made some adjustments in my life. I was in a my regular job, pretty busy. A lot of stuff going on, and they can't put a finger on it. But I decided to stop doing that. A lot of different stuff. I was breathing and stuff. For the third time, I had a bone marrow transplant again, and my brother, my donor, and all this stuff took place, and I'm still here, and I have no other reason other than the good Lord. I don't know why I'm here. A lot of people don't survive once, but I've been 3 times, and not bragging on me, I'm nothing. But I'm telling you, by the grace of God, I'm still here, and I'm a true believer. To answer your question, you gotta believe, you gotta stay positive. Can't take anything negative in it. You got to stay positive. You got to believe. You got to be able to say, glass half full. Yeah, no matter what anybody says, now I'm kidding that. I had people say, well, I had a friend who, I don't want to hear it. Something negative. I don't want to hear it. And I just refused to let the devil in. I was going to fight, stay positive, and continue my faith, no matter what. And I knew my best faith was heaven. I knew that in the worst case I would be going home, but I didn't have any. I wasn't really. I'm anxious and all that. But I mean, at the 3,000, you almost it's reality. But we're running out of options here. But I'm telling you, anybody's going through it, you got to just keep that glass half full, and don't listen. Don't buy into all this internet. I mean, you're gonna see bad things. I Google stuff, yeah, I did. But I would say I continue to just keep on marching on. Every day is one day closer to being healed. And I just listen to my doctors and just look forward, don't look back. You got a choice. You can run through it, or you can get scared and run away from it. Run through it because, in my life, I can control what I drink. I can control what I smoke. I can control what I eat. I can control a lot of that, but I can't control like any other problem, health-wise. I can't control it. Get it. You can't say, I'm going to use to get this. That's just life. And best, most encouraging thing I can tell you is just be positive and keep the faith. Believe that things will get better. I'm 53 now and still here. Keep on. I'm able to speak now. I'm able to share my testimony at certain places. I've got something coming up in 2 weeks. With a bunch of guys who are recovering from drug abuse, and they're in the middle of their process. May not be here, but they've got their own Bible. So I'm able to go and share my story now. So that's kind of neat. And the wrestling part of it is a big deal. That kind of gets people drawn in. You share your wrestling story. And then when the cancer comes, you've already got them. People are paying attention to what you're saying. So the whole reason I keep on doing it is to be positive, to be hopefully encouraging to folks So things like this, what you're doing tonight, I mean, if just one person hears it and it helped by it, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's not about me. I guess it is in a way with the wrestling career, but it's about other people. And I'm glad you asked that question.
Mark, you say.
So many people got their own stuff like going through. So, and the wrestling part of it is just the beginning.
So,
You're here to talk about it.
so moving on to the wrestling part, when you, in your early days back in the mid '80s, you were training under somebody named Nelson Royal.
Yes.
And what did it feel like when you were training under his wing, and how did it feel to get into a side of wrestling ring, and when you wanted to become a wrestler?
That was really neat. A lot of did a lot of conditioning and a lot of before you got in the ring, you had to make sure you were in shape. And once I stepped through the ropes, that was me. It's like, wow, here it is. This is what I've always wanted to do. And bump after bump after bump, headlock after headlock. We didn't start flying around like a good day. We had to learn slow and easy, smooth. Today's product is totally different, but things change. But it was neat to be able to work out, learn psychology of wrestling business. A lot of people come and show up, and a big part of it back then had to make sense. The match had to make sense. You couldn't just go in there and do all these flips and stuff. It really captured their attention. People, it had to make sense. There's an old saying in wrestling, less is more. It's so true. Because if you give them less, what you give is what you get. But you don't have to do as much. Back then it was just different. And of course it was a different era. But walk and talk is pretty much gone now. There was times you had to go in there and have a match. You didn't meet before. You went in there and had a match. You called it on the ring. I mean, it's just the way we learned. And because there were times whenever you didn't get to meet up beforehand, and you had to get out there. When I wrestled Rick Steamboat, I never met the guy until we got in the ring, and he called everything. It was 8 minutes long, and he called every single spot. And then we had wonder, it was awesome. And it was a different era back then. We learned. I think that's the right way to do it. But the audience has changed. The whole, it's not music, anything else has changed over the years. People have to adjust. So that's just pretty much what I say about that. It's a whole different way of learning. But anyway.
So, I know that you're retired from the ring. But way before your cancer was kind of affecting you. I know. Do you still watch wrestling as a pastime?
I watched it last night for about 15 minutes. There's a few guys that I'm a big Dolph Ziggler fan, and I like the kid. What's the kid's name that wrestles barefoot? Riddle. Riddle. His last name's Riddle.
Yep, Matt Riddle.
The guy who wrestles barefoot, and I like him. And but I do watch. Cesaro's good. As far as ladies, Alexa Bliss is talented. She's good. I liked her better when she was the heel with the blonde hair, doing Ronda Rousey there. She was actually entertaining. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm not glued to the TV every Monday night, but if I'm home, I'll do it up and I'll watch and see. I haven't watched AEW much. I've been hearing a lot about it. So maybe I should check that out. And then I guess Ring of Honor, I like Briscoes. I guess they're still wrestling, are they?
Yeah, they're still wrestling. They have like Impact, Ring of Honor, MLW, all those companies. NWA is even still running.
Talented guy. They should have been. They should be on. They should be in New York. They should be in. I think they should be on WWE, but they're the guys are unbelievable. I think we'll wrestle. Remember Omega, the Hardy Boys group out of North Carolina? They had shows. In fact, a few years ago, Briscoes were on them. Sold out Cameron, the Hardy Boys hometown. They came in and wrestled Jeff and Matt. It was awesome. Good stuff, man.
So throughout your wrestling career, up until your retirement, you had a lot. Like I said, you have a lot of famous opponents that would turn into WWE Hall of Famers. And out of the matches that you fought, what is your favorite match or favorite opponent, or what? And if you had to get stepped in the ring, if you could have faced him back then, which opponent would you want to face?
You mean today?
Either today or when you were still wrestling before you retired.
Okay. Well, my best match was the one I told you, Ricky Steamboat, because I got it. We had, I had a match with Kurt Angle too before he hit TV. We had a dark match, 1999, and we had 12 minutes. And you talking about Olympic gold medalist? That was an honor to get in there. He bumped for me and sold for me, and we had a nice night. That was my favorite. Ricky Steamboat was one of my favorites. I wrestled Sting 5 different times, and most of those were 4 or 5 minutes. But still, being in there with Sting was gold. I got to wrestle Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold. He was stunning. Steve, he had long hair. That was Fayetteville, North Carolina. Andre Haku, Big Boss Man, the team, Bone Civics, Tommy Wildfire, Rich, Junkyard Dog. Oh man, all these were fun. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, another Hall of Famer. Wrestled him. The Bushwhacker. And I don't know. I could go on and on. It's so fun. And, but I could wrestle anybody today and before I bring it back. That's a good question. I think I could have. Well, I know him very well. I never got to wrestle RVD. I would have loved to wrestle him. We actually started together at South Atlantic, 1990. And I'm giving you my age, man. We go way back. He just got started. Then, now look where he went. You know, I wrestled. I'd love to wrestle Dolph Ziggler back when I was in shape. We wrestled. I would have loved to have wrestled. Or is a newer guy. I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of some people. I did get to wrestle Scotty Duarte. That was really the last one I wrestled before I hung him up. But that was when he was doing the worm and stuff. But that era, kind of the Attitude Era, it was like 2003 and 4. And then Lex Luger, I wrestled him. He was back. And then I came back to the benefit show in 2014. I got to wrestle. I talked to Doug. I was the wrestler for that. So that was good. That wasn't a good thing.
Right.
I like Otis, man. Otis is he's still wrestling.
Yes, he is. He's in a tag team.
I like Otis. He's good. Entertaining.
So
Nakamura. Love to wrestle him. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one.
So there is a question in the audience under the the internet alias known as Patrick Star, not the real Patrick Star, not to confuse you. He says, "Were you scared you were not defeating cancer or at least at the time when you were doing the transplant or whatever?"
Yeah. They there were times when they had told me, we're not so sure how this is going to go. We're going to give it a shot. And there were times when I went to sleep at night thinking, what if I don't wake up? And the bone marrow transplant was just not one but two. And going through all that, my immune system being compromised, literally having no immune system, a simple cold would kill me because I had nothing to fight with in my body. So yeah, I had most of the night when I'd get I'd be up 6 in the morning thinking what if, but once again, it comes back, I think, in what I believe. Being at Duke University was really neat because it's one of the best hospitals in the world. So, but yeah, I'll be telling you lies. I wasn't scared. I had to keep on keeping on. Like Dusty Rhodes once said that. You got to keep on keeping on, baby. And I remember that. Good stuff.
He was known as the American Dream for nothing. He wasn't
Real.
known as that for nothing. So from your early days to the retirement, and well, you actually trained a couple people, but when or after you were trained through the knowledge that you've learned from Nelson Royal, you actually I don't know if this is confirmed or not. You've trained a guy by the name of Mark Slane,
Yes.
and how did it feel when you transitioned from a professional wrestler to a trainer to train Mr. Slane?
It's it's neat. I was considering opening a wrestling school here at one time. I haven't really done much with it, but here's I get calls on occasion. Want to know if my training post? I would if I had that. I had a ring. I had the room space, but it was neat. Teach Mark how to get well. The basics like I learned. Um, he was one of the guys. He had to want to, and you can usually tell first, second day they're going to make it. I had a feeling after the first day, I think he got it. And he ended up getting a pretty steady career. I've actually sat in on a few sessions. C.W. Anderson, a good friend of mine, we started way back together. And some of my other friends, Mark, Dan Wright down in the Clayton area, Louis Moore, Henry Dean, Matt Houston, others. Some of those guys, they would get before the matches, they'll get there early, work out with the young guys. Now like that, just showing them little things here and there. And yeah, I'd rather help. I had a full-fledged school would be different, but I don't mind getting pointed, helping kids out. I don't charge anything. I just like hopefully showing them how to do it the right way. And hadn't been going as much. He kind of been shows in 30 miles a year. Find out the promoter. I try to go. I'll be in, but hey, there's a chance to go out there and ring. Some of the younger guys, newer guys, help us out. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I don't want to die with everything I learned. I like to pass it on much as I can. So, there's so much information I learned over the years. I still learn, pick up stuff, It's been tempting at times to go back. I had a couple of books, not wrestling, but to speak. That's neat too. Get to go and see friends, share what I'm sharing with you, the story. There's always opportunity here and there. Try to take advantage of it.
So moving on from that, you have competed in title matches, dark matches, and even on TV, even with not the title on the line, and you've actually had and won titles in wrestling in like NWA, SWF. but it's not under the Chuck Coates character. It's under the Ancient Max and Mad Max.
Yeah.
But moving from that, throughout the dark matches and matches on TV that you had in WCW and WWE, did you get along with the people that were in the locker room when you what you shared before you left for the day at the time?
Yeah. Talking about the TV tapings, the guys, the big guys.
Like the dark match, like you mentioned with Kurt Angle, and
Yeah.
like all and the numerous matches between you and Sting.
Yeah. Yeah. I was all ears. I didn't ask me any questions. I just tell me what you want to do, and we'll do it. That's the best way to get along with these guys. Because they're in charge. Um, you don't question. I mean, there's been guys, top guys, question things. You know, that's their right. But if you don't want to do it, find something else, go somewhere else. But I just kept my mouth shut, let my ears open, and they would always watch them on TV. Back what they did. There may be a certain spot you want to do. Thing was funny. He used to ask for me. That's why that's the 5 times. He was like, he'd go to whoever, Jody Hamilton, whoever, my boss. I want to come go. We can't let you wrestle them every week. They get out new faces. And that was not that he asked for me. And this is back when we had the black top. You remember the neon colors right before the Crow, and that was fun. I never had any of those guys. That's part of it. You just listen, and unless they ask a question, just be quiet. I knew what my job was. I knew what I was there to do. Sometimes they would say, "Do you have any spots you want to do?" Hey, yeah, sure. I do this. Maybe not. Very, very rarely they say we're not doing that. And usually I was taking the bump anyway. But, I used to love to get back from it. Love, not always think to get back from it. Okay. I don't know why. That's my favorite spot. But yeah, got along with that.
From being in the locker room to showing off a career that extended like over 20 years. Have you ever have any stories to tell about the wrestling business, about at the aftermath of the matches, and like any fun, like I don't know, like thrilling stories that shock like most wrestling fans that are dying to know about you?
Oh, well, we had, I mean, you know, I remember Mr. Perfect Kurt hitting such a draw, such a good athlete. Once we were finished in our match, they would say, "You can go ahead and go to the next town, go to the hotel, go wherever." But we would all watch him. He would be main event. And usually, by the time the main event rolls, everybody's gone, like a handful of people. But even some of the top guys, he was amazing to watch. I picked Kurt Hennig because I don't remember anybody like him that would draw attention, draw a crowd around the monitor in the back. And I remember one of my best friends, Mike Howell, he wrestled as one of the dubs at W. He said, "Look here, there's 15 people here. It's the last match of the night. And they're all waiting to see Kurt." And that was one story, he would actually draw. We would mark out, I guess you could call it, and watch Kurt do his thing, Kurt Hennig. He was a special athlete. The stories about Andre, he was got to play cards, drink wine. That was one of those things. He sat there afternoon. We were third match that night. my crew's already got with me. He told me what he's going to do. 10 minutes to 7, we're third match. Show started at 7. I still ain't heard contract. I'm scared to death. You know? Right before I went to the third, here he comes. If I give you the headbutt, you don't go down. I said, yes, sir. So I pretty much do the finish, but that was kind of cool. I tried to take the time. Yeah, still though, you don't want to go in there and mess up. So I'm scared to death. I thought, what if he does something different? And it's all kind of.
So moving on from the superstars to the upper management and the upper like the production team and the agents that worked at WCW and WWE. Have you gotten to know like a lot of the guys in the back and even the ones like the chairman of the WWE himself, like Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff of WCW?
Never met Bischoff. I did speak to Vince once, just in passing. Thanks for coming. I said, yes, sir. No problem. We just happened to, it was me and him. Same with Jim Ross. We spoke a few times, but it wasn't really a conversation. I was just telling me I appreciate you being there. And, but main people we talked to, the agent, Dick Strombo, Sergeant Goulet, he was one of the agents. Jody Hamilton, Johnny Ace, Tom Pritchard, Bruce Pritchard. They were the agents when I was there. And Tony Gurria, and Gerald Briscoe. Those were the main guys you talk to. Most time it was about your match. We get there about 1 o'clock, check in. Some guys want to go out to the ring, go over spots, whatever. We had buffet. Every time we do TVs, they catered a meal. It was awesome. Get in there and eat. Go to the gym, work out, whatever. And spend all afternoon at the arena or wherever. And then at 7 o'clock, it was showtime, By then, you knew what you were doing. You knew you were with. There were nights whenever they give the night off, they still paid you. They might say, we don't need you tonight. Or maybe there were nights where for security, you might be. I know Matt Hardy, when he started, he was one of the Undertaker's one of the guys that helped the coaches and stuff. But ambulance personnel, police officer, we did all kind of stuff. So that was neat. But yeah.
So,
I will say, out of my whole career, the nicest, most kind wrestler that I ever met was Rey Mysterio Jr. He went out of his way to be nice. I didn't wrestle him. I just told him, I said, my son, at the time, my son was 10. He loves you. And I said, I'd be lying to him if I didn't tell him that. Rey Mysterio, I love him. I told him. And Ray just left. He said, went all the way in the locker room, got a picture. I said, what's your son's name? You tell him that I said, hey, thank you for support. I mean, he went way beyond the Call of Duty to make my kids feel special. Still got the photo up there. But he was beyond the nicest one. A really genuine, nice person. I always tell people that when I have a chance.
So comparing the wrestling that you've done in the matches that you competed in from the 80s to the mid 2000s, comparing them to now, like if you had to choose like what type of era to like would be the best, like the golden era, the attitude era, the ruthless aggression era, or the PG era, which one would you have to pick?
I would pick I wasn't quite there yet, but I loved the mid '80s with Crockett Promotions. I was still, a fan. And I didn't go to Nelson School till 1987, so I was a little bit behind those guys. Mid '80s, late '80s. I liked the mid '90s when NWO was created. But overall, my favorite time in my career was like 97 to 2000, right in there. I guess that's the Attitude Era. And that was pretty neat. And, but my favorite as a fan was the 80s with Proctor Promotions, Nikita Koloff, Ric Flair, and Dusty, and all those guys, man. That's why I did it. I was a big fan. I was buying my ticket every week. Fun time. Fun time.
So moving on to the noteworthy parts of your career, besides being in WWE and WCW, you've worked for a couple of other independent promotions like the NWA and the SWF, SDF, Sarge, under the names Agent Max, Mad Max, the Russian Assassin. You
Yeah.
recently spoke of. You've actually won the tag team champions in NWA alongside Ancient Gun.
Yeah.
And have actually won, like, I think, a singles title, if I'm correct. It's like the hardcore title.
Yeah, they had a hardcore title. I won that. I won the South Atlantic tag team. It's German. I was German too. It's Hans and Helmut. That's where Rob Van Dam started. Kid Shamrock, Tatanka. We had a good group. Pit Bulls. We had a good group, man. We were the German Stormtroopers. Mabel, Viscera. He's our bodyguard. We were tag team champions there. Beat the Fantastic. Then we ended up losing to TNT, Tommy Seabolt, Tommy Angel. Now, the NWA World Tag Team Championship, that was another match. Agent Max and Tommy Gunn, they were the original Border Patrol. Agent Max, that was the champion of the NWA, he unfortunately passed away, and I ended up tagging with Agent Gunn. I was Mad Max, so they named me Agent Max. I was like version 2. But I did hold the LAW tag titles with him. In the hardcore. Now, also, one that I held was out of the co-op, Southern Texas title. We Fantastic beat us. We had those for a while. Bobby Fulton was running Big Time Wrestling. And that was cool, too. That was probably one of the biggest titles I ever held. So other tag team belts. We hired them co-op as a partner. That was really cool. So had a few belts throughout. But yeah, the NWA tag team titles was actually a different Agent Max. He was an original. There were 3 versions of the Border Patrol: Agent Max, Agent Cannon, and Agent Max, which was me. So to clear that up, yeah, I can't take credit for being one half of the NWA World Tag Team title. I wish it was me, but we held 2 titles later on together.
Out of all the memories throughout your wrestling career, and even a recent memory about you surviving cancer thrice, what was your favorite memory out of all? If you had to pick, like, in your wrestling career, what was your favorite, like, type of moment that you were, like, really starring in, or throughout your life, if you wanted to put it that way, if you want to include that too?
The biggest moment has to be the Andre match in wrestling. Also, was in the movie Bull Durham as an extra. That was a pretty big deal. I was one of the visiting baseball players back in, that's my hometown of Durham. Back in '87, we filmed that. Of course, beating cancer, like you said, and 3 times, big deal. But it's not me. The Lord's decided to leave me here a little bit longer. That's awesome. I got to sit on this is the first story. I got to sit on the original Colonel Standard Plaque. I was 5 years old. My dad worked for him back in 1973. So that was cool. Little boy got to meet the Colonel, the real deal.
That
Just being at the top of my game, WCW, WWE. It was just fun. It was a good ride. just the opportunity to be on that big stage and be all over the world was an honor as well.
Before you became a professional wrestler and trained under Mr. Royal, what was your first memory that you could come to mind when you watched wrestling before you thought, oh, I could become a professional wrestler?
Well, my dad watched it when I was little, and I watched it with him. And we're talking the early '70s. And I don't know, probably 1980. I realized that I'm 13 years old. I thought, wow, it's pretty cool. It was one of those things. I played baseball all my life, so first I wanted to be a baseball player. But then as I got older, I thought this wrestling thing, could possibly happen. And I went to NC State in 1985 and met Mike Howell, which I told you is one of the Ducks. He's my best friend, and he loved wrestling. We met at Dorton Arena. He's a big Nikita Koloff fan. By then, I was 18 years old, and we decided we're going to go down here to this wrestling school and learn how to do this. So that was like the point where I thought, okay, let's make this happen. Enough of say in life, follow your dreams, chase your dreams. Well, I chased my dreams, I did it. And even though, which I'm looking back now, it's probably a good thing. I didn't make all the big money. I didn't sign the big contracts. I still did it. And it was still a fun time. And I could say I achieved my dream. And that was really cool. And the Dusty, going back to Crockett, that's what I really wanted. The Dusty and Flair, that era was my favorite time. And I just thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. And so that's when we decided to go to wrestling school.
Besides having the matches with legends like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Haku, and Jerry Sags, could you name like people that you actually met but you didn't really face in the ring or didn't have any talks of actually getting into the ring and having a match, either on a dark match or a title match or just a normal match on television?
Yeah, well, Ric Flair was my hero. That's who I wanted to be. That was my guy. We sat down and ate. I told you I catered the meals. Sat down at his table and had conversations with him. And never had a chance to wrestle him. Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, Sergeant Slaughter. I actually wrestled Sergeant Slaughter once back in G.I. Joe back in the late '80s. And Don Kernodle, who just passed away. Good friend. Shane Helms is a good friend. Hurricane Helms, we still stay in touch today. We actually go to a lot of the wrestling matches at NC State, the college wrestling. He lives about 45 miles from here. Still talk to him. Let's see. Trying to think of the people I didn't wrestle that I would have. Roddy Piper. I had a chance to meet him. But, that'd have been pretty neat to wrestle him. The Boogeyman, Jimmy Valiant. I got to wrestle him a couple times. Wahoo McDaniel, got to wrestle him. And a lot of these wrestle Russian. Russian can wrestle anybody. The Russian Fickle, he draws his own heat and he's do the thing, but it's the easy way to get booked. You know, okay. Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton. I wrestled him. I didn't wrestle Stan. That would have been neat to wrestle him. And as we went on, Kane, got to know Kane pretty well. He was a nice guy, and never wrestled Kane. That would have been neat. And on up into 15 years, it's been just I hadn't been really in touch, so I haven't been around it a lot since then. Uh, got to pick the Ultimate Warrior back in the day, and did wrestle. Hadn't never wrestled him, but Hulk Hogan spoke to me a few times. That was cool. He's very nice too, as well. So that's just to name a few.
If you had to pick one match that you've watched on like not doesn't have to be a match that you were participating in or at least that you took part in. Main basically like WrestleMania or like SummerSlam, all those old matches or newer matches. Which match or pay per view shine like basically this pay per view is so good. I can watch it over and over and over again. Or this match, like for an example, like Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14, just like, wow, that Mike Tyson punch just knocked Shawn Michaels the f out.
Yeah. Well, WrestleMania was that the Steamboat Savage was my favorite match. Andre and Hogan. Which one was that? 3 or 4? 4. WrestleMania 3.
Hogan and Andre.
Yeah, and then Steamboat Savage.
It was WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, you can watch that one over and over. As far as Starcade, the original Starcades back in the Gathering was a good one, 1985, I think. I always enjoyed Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart matches. I don't remember exactly which WrestleManias they were, but they were good. And I liked Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express feud throughout the time. It was Starcades or whatever. And Randy Savage and anybody, he was amazing. So all those, like I said, I don't remember exactly which numbers they are, the WrestleManias, but Undertaker and what was that? Yokozuna? Somebody's trying to say hello.
You know. Aw.
You want to talk?
Hey. So the matches that you mentioned, all these like Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and Andre, those matches like signified the wrestling business as a whole.
Yeah.
And from a real fighter that fought lymphoma, honestly, in my honest opinion, it's been real honor to have you on because you know because we're living in tough times right now. Even though it's still COVID is still at a high, not as highest risk as its peak, but COVID is still a problem in modern day society.
Yeah.
And having you on is just a little fresh air, breath of fresh air to have you on. It's really been a pleasure.
I appreciate that, and I hope somebody listens that can get something positive out of it, whether it's wrestling or whether it's my fight with cancer. Just don't take anything but positive and encouraging stuff, and just take a day. Each day is one day closer to getting well. And be positive. Put your faith in the Lord and just go for it. Do it. Like I said earlier, we can't control so much in life. You get sickness like that, you gotta bust the wall. Go through it. Just know you're gonna be okay. You gotta believe that. You can't think it, you gotta believe it. But by the way, I got one more wrestler I really like. Randy Orton.
He's one of my favorites as well. There's one. Well, besides that, with all those wrestling companies that you work for, what do you think of WCW's ally during the Invasion angle, ECW?
good stuff. Good TV. That was good TV. It kept to me. The fact that it was a shoot, they were really trying to go for it. I think that made it more interesting. The WCW Monday Night Wars, the ECW coming along. I think it was great. That competition thing, that makes for good television. And I think it was good for everybody back then. I kind of hated to see it end, but it got a bunch of money. And that was that. But the second version of ECW, I wasn't crazy about. When Vince bought it and tried to keep it going, it just wasn't the same. Something about the bingo hall and all those people right on top of each other. Pretty cool.
If I could just ask one more question, if you want to keep it going, you can. But I'm gonna ask one last question. If out of through all the experiences that you've went through, either as a wrestler or as a or as a guy that fought cancer or lymphoma 3 times, and still being being an activist, fighting against cancer, raising awareness, what part of your life defined the most about you, Mr. Coates?
I think my faith, what I believe, and the fact that I'm not here by accident. And I've got a video you may have watched in my testimony, and I just every ounce of everything I have to the good Lord, because that's just all it is. I'm just here. I'm on this earth, and if I can be good, a good encouraging factor to somebody else, that's what I want to be. I don't want to ever consider being a negative person. As a matter of fact, I'm not, whether it's social media or whatever in life, if I can't say anything positive, I'm not going to say it. And that's just me. Like you said, we got enough issues as it is all the way around. So just being that piece of the puzzle, hopefully to make it a better place. And just keep a positive attitude. And, like I said, a wrestling the piece of my life for the wrestling, it's part of it. But overall, we all get older. We all have to move on. Not everybody can wrestle forever. Just being somebody now at this point in my life at 53, just being an encouragement to somebody. Hopefully, put a smile on their face. That's what it's all about. That's what I want to be. And whether I live another day or whether I just know, I know where my home is. I'm going home. And whether if I live to be 90, that's wonderful. If I die tomorrow, that's fine too. I just don't worry. I don't live in fear anymore. 3 times with cancer, I've learned to. I can't control. I can only control so much. I don't want to go anywhere. Don't get me wrong, but I don't fear like some people are scared to die. But I don't. Just live every day, and I'm thankful for every day I wake up. So I hope that I'll be encouragement to somebody out there that's watching or listening. And the wrestling's just added part to it, And I hope to be able to continue to share my story and be a positive influence to folks. And just be an encouragement.
There you guys have it. It's Mr. Chuck Coates, former professional wrestler, cancer survivor. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Max Coates. And he has a YouTube channel. They post his wrestling videos of the matches that he's been in. And, of course, he's mentioned his testimony and the little march that he done for LLS in his home state of North Carolina. It's been a pleasure, Mr. Chuck Coates.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to come on, you could just hit me up in the DMs and we'll get it scheduled again.
Sounds good, my friend.
All right, thank you for having. Thank you for taking for taking the time out of your day to give some motivation to my audience and including myself.
You bet, man. No problem. Take care.
You too. I don't think you left the call. I don't know if you can hear me. You didn't leave the call. I guess we'll leave it there. For give it up for Chuck Coates doing whatever he can to raise awareness to lymphoma and other diseases that people are going through. You heard from the man himself. Motivation is basically the way to go. Think positive and don't think of the negative. Just always believe in God and all that. Don't mean to be religious, but that's just what he said. Just basically think positive and think of the positive outcomes coming with it. And people are living in hard times right now, which is possibly most of us. Just keep fighting. Just give the motivation that you need, and still keep fighting, even like in mental health or just physically. Just staying in there until COVID is relinquished and extinguished from, not completely extinguished, but it's stabilized. And for the message to my audience, if you want Mr. Coates to come back on at some point in the future, you can just give a comment or slap a like if you've liked what you've seen in the stream in this podcast episode. Please leave a like, share it to your friends, post a comment below, either in the live chat or in the comment section after the episode goes off. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and I'll turn on post notifications so you would never miss any episodes of Wrestling Around, any gaming streams, or any other random streams that I do on a daily basis with Fortnite, Minecraft, wrestling, whatever. And in Sundays with game night or whatever, the selective Sundays, you guys have in control of Sunday. But this upcoming Friday, not next Friday, we got next Friday, you guys can vote what game you guys want us to do Friday. It's a little double vote. But your options are Fortnite, Friday the 13th, and Fall Guys. I may put in more, but I don't know. I might put in more, but you guys kind of like suggest stuff and I'll put it in there. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Wrestling Around, episode 15 of Real Fighter, and I'll see you guys in the next stream, whatever I do tomorrow. Peace out.